Hello there, this is part 2 of Omnichannel Marketing and Personalization. My name is Oliver Tree. I work with several of our healthcare clients here at Phase 2 on everything from full website design and development through to branding services, patient experience, consulting, marketing, you name it, I'm involved in it.
Hi, and I'm Mike Manji, the Director of Strategy at Phase 2. I have a focus right now on how to bring omnichannel solutions to our healthcare clients.
So we're going to kick off part 2 by talking about branding consistency. You can think of branding as serving two aims. There's branding in the sense of enforcing standards like color, logo usage, and picture styles. But crucially, branding is also about whether the customer service you provide and the digital experience live up to the brand promise that you have out there. In marketing, this is described as living the brand or having a story do rather than a story tell mindset.
Thanks, Oliver. So let's start by talking about the risks of an inconsistent brand. I think this is an example everyone is familiar with. United Airlines recently forcibly removed one of their passengers from their planes, which is not at all in alignment with their tagline, "Fly the Friendly Skies." Often when you have this kind of misalignment with a brand, it leads to confusion, a lack of trust in the brand, a lack of quality. So obviously it's very important to understand your brand message and stay very consistent. One of the ways you can do that is by establishing really good brand guidelines and governance. Those guidelines can include design, so logos, color palette, typography. Also content guidelines, the style of content, perhaps some examples of content that includes tone and voice of your brand. Photography guidelines, the types of images that should be used and how they should be used. And it's also a great idea to provide templates that could be stock photography, but also layouts for different types of content. For many of our clients, we put together these style guides as digital style guides. We've even done it for ourselves. This is great because it keeps version control in sync. Everyone knows the source of truth to find the digital style guide. They know where they can get all of the content snippets and examples, all the stock photography, the color palette, everything in one place. And we also share this with our developers who have put CSS code snippets and other pieces of code information available for any developers that need to use our styles. So it happens quite frequently with our clients that they need to have a campaign exception. There's something that they're doing that they don't want to look exactly like every other piece of content that they put out or exactly like their main brand. And this can certainly be done. Our recommendation here is to lean on secondary or tertiary brand elements. Perhaps there's a second set of colors that you can use in your color palette. And your brand messaging and voice should be very similar to your parent brand. It should sound like perhaps a parent, but still the same family. So now we're going to move on to a segment on measurement, how to tell if your omnichannel marketing is working for you. With omnichannel, it's important to think about the two different types of analytics and data that you can collect. We refer to these as top-down and bottom-up. Top-down would be information or data you can collect from an event, how many people attended perhaps, physical location, perhaps you're doing television or radio advertisements. All of this data is aggregate data. And that's opposed to bottom-up, which can get very granular. And this is data that you can collect from your websites and applications, any analytics data. When you take all of that data together, you can look and see how it's affecting your return on investment. It's also very helpful to set up what are called funnels and goals, especially on your digital campaigns. And this tracks action of a user across a couple of different touch points or their movement through a website or application. So you can think of a user clicking on perhaps a banner ad or a call out on your website, going to a specific page, and then from that page signing up for the newsletter. If the newsletter is your goal, you can see how many people are making it through each of the steps to get to that goal and work on optimizing any of the steps that are causing issues. Another tool we use for setting up the best measurement is A/B testing or multivariate testing. And this is where you take one section of your website and send some percentage of users to one version of it versus another version of it, and see which version is performing the best. An example of this that we did for one of our clients recently was change just the color and outline of a button. You can see in the bottom right that they had a button that was just an outline with white text. We changed that to a blue background with white text and tested the differences and found that users really preferred the blue button with white text, and it actually equated to $1.6 million per month more sales for this client. Obviously, this is a pretty simple example, and you can get more complex in the types of A/B testing you do, but it can really have a high payout. Another thing we recommend for our more advanced clients who are more mature in their measurement is to take all of the different sources of measured information and put them into an aggregated data display. This really makes it helpful for your teams that are measuring the success of the different channels, because they can see everything in one place and don't have to go and log into several different systems and then try to normalize that data that they're collecting. This is also a great thing to bring to your executive team because you can see a big picture of how everything is performing in one place.
Thanks, Mike. So in parts 1 and 2 of this video, we've spoken a lot about omnichannel marketing, personalization, branding. Basically, we've covered a lot in a very short space of time. As our healthcare clients often tell us, though, it can be tough to know how and where to get started. So Mike is going to conclude now by talking about some quick steps you can use to kickstart your journey towards an omnichannel marketing strategy.
Thank you, Oliver. The first thing we recommend is doing a channel assessment, taking a look at all of the different channels that you are currently having your patients access. That could be a website, maybe a mobile application. It might include social media. Perhaps you've got a YouTube channel, a Twitter feed. Perhaps you also have a blog. Taking a look at all of these different channels and how they are performing, any analytics or measurement data that you can collect, the number of users, the amount of engagement those users have with each of the channels, and make decisions about which channels are working and which may need to be retired. We also recommend doing a thorough content assessment, making sure that there is consistency in tone and voice across all of your channels, making sure that you're taking a look at the volume of content per channel. Does it make sense to have really long articles that are served on your mobile app? Or perhaps it's better to have a teaser that leads over to the website. Making sure that the content is relevant and up to date. You're providing languages that are appropriate for all of your users. Perhaps your users have accessibility needs or a need for plain language. Taking a look at your content and making sure that it's meeting all of the requirements for your users. And finally, we recommend doing a thorough technology assessment. Here you're looking for the ability to connect those channels together. Perhaps you have an application programming interface or API that you can use to connect different channels together. You should also be looking at the maturity level of the systems and platforms you're using. Are they really out of date and need to be upgraded? Are they no longer serving the needs of your editorial team? And then also looking if you have the systems in place to cover all of your needs. Do you have a customer relationship management system? Do you have analytics tools? Do you have a need for an e-commerce system? Or are there gaps there in the systems that you have?
Again, thank you for listening to this part 2 of Omnichannel Marketing Strategy for Healthcare. If you have any questions around anything you've heard in part 1 or indeed part 2, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at health@phase2technology.com. Go visit our website, download some more of our materials, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you very much.